Hello, welcome to STH English. Finally, the day has arrived, 1st of August, when Trump tariff terror is striking all across the globe. Terror for those who have been penalized and punished with higher tariffs, and an opportunity for those who think that they have negotiated a mutually acceptable and beneficial deal. For Pakistan, the news is positive. I can't be ecstatic about it because I'm yet to look at the final print of the actual trade deal. But if you were to make comparisons with the rest of the region and also make comparisons with our export competitors, India and Bangladesh, in say textile, garments, and other textile based exports, you would find that Pakistan is placed at a happier point. Let me give you a sense of the tariff situation. India initial tariff was 26%. It's 25% now, but this is an add-on tariff. Remember that it's 25% plus the existing tariff plus the extra penalty that Trump threatened in his post yesterday. Pakistan was slapped with 29%. It has now come down to 19%. Again, this is also an add-on tariff, but still, as compared to India's tariff, we have a fairly huge and large advantage. Bangladesh too got from 37% down to 20%, 1% less than Pakistan, which means that Pakistan's exports will still have an advantage as far as Bangladesh is concerned. Sri Lanka got 20% and Vietnam from 46% to 20%. East Asia, like Japan, Indonesia, Thailand, they all got reasonably low tariffs. Turkey got a very good deal. Initial tariffs were 10%, add-on 15%. They wanted to bring it down to 10% or retain it at that level. But if you were to compare it with the way the tariffs terror has been spreading all across the globe against countries that Trump somehow does not like or at a given point in time has a beef with, this is not exactly a bad deal. So Pakistan comes out with advantage. I spoke to many Pakistani industrialists and exporters. They tell me very clearly that our exports, while will be more expensive for the US consumer, will be less expensive as compared to Indian exports and Bangladeshi exports, and therefore we will be able to retain our advantage. Pakistan still has a deficit of about $3.5 billion. We sell goods worth of $6 billion to the US market, and we buy about $2.5 billion goods worth from the US market into Pakistan. So this gap will have to be bridged. What will be US exports to us? What will be our imports from the US? Crude oil is one thing. There's one deal that has already been nailed, and this crude oil shipment will be coming to Pakistan, the first of its kind. Those who import oil tell me that the freight rates are going to be problematic. We buy like 90% of our oil from the Gulf, which is just across the Gulf, as it were. But compare the distance from where the US oil fields are located and add on the freight cost, and you would understand how expensive this would be. But there are other areas where Pakistan will have to now open up to the US goods and perhaps somehow bridge this gap. Pakistan is happily placed. Trump, is he winning the tariff gamble? Well, it was a gamble and a gambit both, and so far he doesn't look like a person who's bleeding because of his own policy. He seems to be grandstanding and talking loud and clearly and with great bombast and zing about his great success, and he thinks that this is going to make America great again. But there is a sense in the world that Trump, by using the sword of tariffs to slay other policy dragons, like imposing 35% of tariff on Canada, with which it has the world's second largest regional trade arrangement involving Mexico as well, is a case in point. Trump on his social media said that Canadians have thought of recognizing the state of Palestine, and this is going to now convert into a tariff punishment. But UK too is going to recognize the state of Palestine, but Trump has not used the same instrument with regard to UK. So it's very random. The next day he can get off the right side of bed and start to think rationally and use tariff only for trade purposes only. So you never know. There is going to be a feeling in this world that now we will have to do something to get rid of dependence on the US. And I think countries like Canada and others as well, there's this thinking that I was reading in India as well, that, we are far too large a country to be browbeaten by America. America cannot tell us where to buy our crude from. America cannot tell us where to buy our defense equipment from. America cannot tell us how to open up our markets. America cannot be twisting our arm. So the larger countries with larger economies, with larger global trade footprint, may be thinking of other ways to bypass the U.S. import-export dependence and convert this big challenge to their advantage. A role model of sorts has come out of Canada. The Canadian Prime Minister has issued a pretty remarkable statement. Let's take a listen to the operative paras of the statement made by the Canadian Prime Minister in response to the slapping of 35% of tariffs by Trump administration.
Statement by Prime Minister Carney on Canada-US trade. President Trump has announced that the United States will increase its tariffs to 35% on those Canadian exports that are not covered under the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, or CUSMA. While the Canadian government is disappointed by this action, we remain committed to CUSMA, which is the world's second-largest free trade agreement by trading volume. The U.S. application of CUSMA means that the U.S. average tariff rate on Canadian goods remains one of its lowest for all of its trading partners. Other sectors of our economy, including lumber, steel, aluminum, and automobiles, are, however, heavily impacted by U.S. duties and tariffs. For such sectors, the Canadian government will act to protect Canadian jobs, invest in our industrial competitiveness, by Canadian, and diversify our export markets. The United States has justified its most recent trade action on the basis of the cross-border flow of fentanyl, despite the fact that Canada accounts for only 1% of U.S. fentanyl imports and has been working intensively to further reduce these volumes. Canada's government is making historic investments in border security to arrest drug traffickers, take down transnational gangs, and end migrant smuggling. These include thousands of new law enforcement and border security officers, aerial surveillance, intelligence and security operations, and the strongest border legislation in our history. We will continue working with the United States to stop the scourge of fentanyl and save lives in both our countries. While we will continue to negotiate with the United States on our trading relationship, the Canadian government is laser-focused on what we can control: building Canada strong. The federal government, provinces and territories are working together to cut down trade barriers to build one Canadian economy. We are developing a series of major nation-building projects with provincial, territorial, and Indigenous partners. Together, these initiatives have the potential to catalyze over $500 billion of new investments in Canada. Canadians will be our own best customer, creating more well-paying careers at home, as we strengthen and diversify our trading partnerships throughout the world.
Now, the great thing about this statement is that while they're dealing with an external challenge, that is dealing with Trump's tariff whip, they are saying that our response has to come from within, that we are going to remove trade imbalances and commerce imbalances within our own territories, that we will create more jobs at home, that we will create bigger markets at home, and Canadians will become buyers of their own goods. And then they're also talking about networking across the globe, probably minus America as well. So most of the countries will have to think of more self-reliance and more non-US based regional alliances in order to deal with the challenge they believe that Trump has created for them. Others are also thinking in terms of creating more advantages vis-a-vis the US in trade, so that when the chips fall the wrong way, they're able to use those advantages as a bargaining chip. So the world is in turmoil. It's very uncertain. Trump policy, will it last after Trump or not? We do not know. But the world has certainly been shaken by this Trump tremor that he has created. Canadians have created a model. Other countries will have to find their own modules. For now, however, Pakistan is sitting pretty. A lot of work to be done. There is talk of mutual investment, opening of the markets, more exports possibilities. But this requires greater homework, more studious way of handling our export potential and harnessing the opportunities that exist there. As the Canadians have said to their own public, Canada will have to clean up. That's not what he said, but I'm just giving you the long and short of it. Canadians will have to clean up their domestic act and in order to deal with the American challenge. Pakistan will also have to do a lot of domestic work to make use of the opportunities that exist. Let's see how this unfolds. For now, Trump is grandstanding. Some of the world's maps are heaving a sigh of relief. Other dots on the map, countries, are very tense, and yet others are in a very unhappy situation. And in that bracket, India stands number one.